Hi there, my name is Adam Fielding, and welcome to another one of my music making sessions where I will be creating a complete song from scratch in Reason 11. So this time around, I thought I'd try working on something a bit more upbeat compared to my previous music making sessions, just because I fancied a bit of a change. It's quite nice weather outside, so I thought something a bit more lively, a bit more summery would be a nice change to what I've been doing recently, which has been kind of very moody, IDM-y kind of stuff. So you might notice I've got the tempo set to 170 BPM, which is what I'm going to be working around. And let's have a quick look at the rack itself. So once again, there's nothing here except for a maximizer in the master section, which I've got... trying to punch my microphone, which I've got hooked up to the master section here. So the master section out goes into the maximizer, which goes into the hardware output of Reason. So that is literally the last thing that the audio is hitting before it hits the output in Reason. So that's more of a failsafe than anything else. I imagine that won't really be kicking in a whole lot. So it's got a 4 dB gain. So it's just gives everything a bit of a bump, but I don't imagine I'll be hitting anywhere near that. So we're starting at 170 BPM. So I thought I'd try doing something kind of drum and bassy, jungly. Just had a question from Buskin Bills. Why do you use DR1 rather than propeller head reverbs? I like the RV7000 and I've been using it pretty consistently since it came out in Reason 2.5, but I really like the DR1. That's a Synapse rack extension, so I'm just going to fire that up so people know what I'm talking about. That's the Synapse DR1 Deep Reverb. I just really like how clean it sounds. It just works on everything. I can't really explain why I like it so much. It just sounds really lush and glorious. It's just a really nice, as Mark Donaldson says, the DR1 is nice, quick, easy, and nice. So nice, it deserved saying twice. So yes, I highly recommend that. It's like if there was a VST version and I was using something else, I would absolutely use that everywhere. If I was using like Cubase and doing most of my stuff in there, I would want something like DR1, but I'm not. I'm using Reason, which is excellent. So it is nice, quick, easy, and nice. So today I am going to be writing something more upbeat. And so let's get to it, shall we? So the first things first, I feel like with a drum and bass track, we should start with the drums. So I'm going to create a redrum device because I like the redrum. There's always been some uncertainty as to whether it's called redrum or redrum. I understand why people would call it redrum, but for me, Reason, Rebirth, redrum, it just makes sense to me. But so I'm just going to create the redrum and let's get a kick and a snare, and then I can mess around with that. So I'm back in Old Faithful Evolve 3. So this is a folder full of samples from Wave Alchemy, from their Drumvolution plugin, which they've bounced and saved as a free sound bank, which you can get from their website at wavealchemy.co.uk, I believe. And like I said, it's called Evolve Free. You can grab all of these samples for free if you like them. So check them out. I feel like I've been using this palette for most of my streams now since like 2018. So let's get a kick going. So I got a rough idea as to what kind of kick I'd like. So something with a bit of weight, but with a bit of a sort of, I want to say acousticy touch, but we'll see. That's a bit too heavy, I think. I want something. Ooh. I quite like that. It's quite short and snappy. So let's turn that down. I'm going to open up a insert effects chain on this drum channel, which is kind of my go-to when it comes to drum channels these days. So I'm going to open up my effects channel and eDrums here. Going to turn down the squash on that pulverizer. So this is just going through an Eve MP5. That's a Coasa EQ, and I really like it for kind of just helping things to poke through around the 12K mark. You can also smooth out the highs, which I tend to do just to kind of, it just sounds really good. I'm using the pulverizer to give it a bit of compression, and the kilohertz limiter at the end. So I'm going to turn the threshold up on that because it's been way too low before. So loud, so I'm just gonna bring that down. There we go. Maybe bring that up just a tad. There we go. Right. So that's a kick. So excellent. So now I feel like if this was a realistic music making session, I'd spend the next 2 hours obsessing over what kind of snare to use. So, but hopefully I'll find something quick. So I'm going to go, oh, that's handy. That's a small folder. So I'm going to go with one of these acoustic snares from the same library. So that's really nice. I think I'm going to go with that. I might make it a bit more snappy, so I'm turning the length down. Oh, that would be good. Turn the level down a bit. Right. So, and let's have a hat. So I want a really short hi-hat. That'll do. Turn the length down. Very short, snappy hat. Right, so we've got the building blocks of something. So what I'm going to do is create a beat map. And this is a Reason 11 player device, and it's fantastic. Recommend it. So I'm going to kind of use my cheat sheet here and go with a rough coordinate. So I've got X5, Y14 down as kind of a rough start for the kind of thing I'm going for. I did literally find this by just clicking the spawn XY button a few times. So I was like, oh, that sounds kind of cool. So I'm going to use this as a base and then work around that. So I'm just going to play that. That's a bit busier than I was expecting. So let's move around a little bit. Let's try that. Oh, that's perfect. That second pattern. Oh, that's a perfect little drum and bass fill. So let's loop that. So I'm going to turn the snare density down a little bit and the kick density down just a touch, the hats as well. All right, cool. That's a good start. So I feel like what I'm going to do now is I'm going to bounce that. I'm going to set the reset step to 128 and I'm just going to bounce sort of 8 loops or so of that and then rearrange them into something that I can work with, because I want that to be my main sort of drum line there. So if I have 3 of those and then that that's cool. So what I might do now is, while I've got the beat map here, is re-enable it, and I think I'm just going to cycle through it and record what happens. Can just leave that going, record what happens, and see if any useful fills or anything like that pops out. So yeah, this will be an interesting little experiment. So let's have fun. And of course I haven't recorded any of that automation because I'm an idiot. So yeah, that is the problem with Beatmap, is it doesn't automatically record that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to combine it, and I'm going to assign. Actually, no, it's a really bad idea. Let's have direct record. That's what I want. So right. That's better. So we've got the direct recording there. So now I'm going to bypass the beat map. Yeah, I totally forgot about the direct record button because I always do. So we've got a nice little medley there of fills that I can mess around with later on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new block, because of course I am, and I'm actually going to extend that to twice as long as it was before, and maybe grab another fill from here. Let's have something that's a little less bonkers, I think. Right, okay. Cushion89 says, have you used the other 3 maps much? Do you mean the 3 players, like the quad note generator, scales and chords? Yes, I use those all the time. In fact, in a stream I did a couple of weeks ago, I used nothing but players to create an entire track. So if you haven't watched that, don't watch it now. Watch me now. But if you haven't watched it, do watch that after this, because it was a really, really fun exercise to create an entire track using nothing but players. There were no notes sequenced in the sequencer. So this is a nice change for me, using the sequencer to actually sequence notes again. Yeah. So I'm thinking a nice staple of drum and bass is to have like a ride playing over the top. So I'm just going to head into the cymbals and rides folder and try and find something. Nope. That could work, I think. So I have, yeah. In fact, I'm going to swap these 2 lanes around. I'm just going to keep it simple. Oh, that's way too quick. Right. Just copy and paste that. Oh yeah, of course, sorry. Cushion said nope. I mean, Beatmap has those 4 different maps. No, I tend to stick with temperate, to be honest with you. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure why. I just tend to. It just seems to be the best map for me. Every now and then I kind of venture into the lava map, but I like temperate. I like what's coming out. So yeah, no, one of these days I should probably venture into the other ones, because they're good. But yeah, no, today I'm sticking with the temperate map. Yeah. That'll do to start with. So I feel like I should probably augment this with some loops or something. So I'm thinking of going with kind of a sort of I'm getting kind of a noughties vibe with this. So to start with, I'm going to go with the loop supply folder and head into drum and bass and see if there's anything like toppy that I can put on top. So what I'm going to do is cheat and just search for top. So that'll do. So I'm just going to disable enable loop playback and copy that to track and turn it down, turn on high pass filter, and how does that sound? I'll do. So I would like, actually I'm not labeling any of my tracks, which is really irresponsible, so I'm going to call this drum hits. This one I'm going to call top loop. So I'd like something kind of old school, so I'm going to go into the factory sound bank folder because that seems like a good source of nice old school loops. And I'm going to go into the Dr. Rex drum loops and drum and bass, and let's see what pops out. Oh, that's a classic factory soundbank loop. Yeah, I'm probably going to use that. So, actually, what I'm going to do is, instead of doing that, I'm just going to drag it straight into the tracker's audio. Because there's one thing I learned from messing around with trackers and working with audio is that it's always fun to kind of chop up chunks of breaks and use those as a basis to work with. And my friend Tom did that a lot in the track that I played before this stream, which was he chopped up kind of huge chunks of the amen breaks, and that's kind of how it worked with sort of 90s musicians when working with jungle tracks and stuff like that. Instead of messing around with individual slices, they would just chop up whole chunks of loops and see what popped out. So I'm going to work with this as audio and see what I can do with it, really. I've got an idea as to what I want to do with it in a second, but okay, so that's quite busy at the moment, so I'm going to use that chunk there to start with, and I'm going to just copy that over here, so I've got a spare copy of the loop over here. So because I'm working with audio, I can just chop entire chunks out and say bring that over here, and then, you know, double the tempo. So that was probably a really bad chunk to use. So want something reasonably busy I can use, so I just do that and double that. Right. So I can also do things like reverse that. And I might just grab that chunk there and double the tempo on that. That's kind of, oh no, that's not right. So, well, there we go. So now if I double the tempo of that, so that's kind of got some interesting variations going on there. So what I might do is halve the tempo of that. And grab that there. Don't need that little reverse section again. Right. I think so that's kind of give it a nice sort of noughties flavor, I think. But to give it the proper noughties touch, I'm going to add an instance of Scream 4, some proper Reason 2.5 flavor, set it to tape, because of course I used to abuse the tape setting all the time and use it as a master effect back in the day. I do not recommend doing that. It sounds awful. but I'm hoping that'll sound... That's a little too busy, I think. So I'm just going to grab that chunk there, copy it over here, and double the speed. That's a little less silly, I think. Cool, that's a good start. So, I'm really tempted to use something else for the bass, but I feel like actually I want a really nice low PWM kind of bass, and there's only one synth that I know that I can count on to pull me through here. So I'm just going to use the Poly 6 again because it's my go-to and I love it, and I think here it's really going to shine. So this is my standard set. I'll bring the cutoff and the envelope intensity down to 12 o'clock. And I've turned the release right down. So Mark Donison says, just for a change. Yeah, I know. I'm a creature of habit when it comes to Poly 6. So, but I think it's going to work really nicely here. So I'm going to just turn the cutoff down. I want that to be nice and beefy. So volume's up. Clovermutt says, Poly 6 is a proper workhorse. It is. It absolutely is. I was just playing an F, and I think I'm going to stick with that. So, yeah, screw it. Let's see where this goes. I might mess with this in a second. Let's see how that goes. Right, I think what would be kind of nice is if I introduce some pitch bends in there as well. So I'm going to set like some nice octave pitch bends. So I'm going to set the pitch bend amount to 12, so that's an octave, and then just record some and see how that goes. Well, that worked. So I just recorded those parts using the pitch bend wheel on my keyboard, my Nectar, well, Impact GX61. So once again, I feel like I should probably point out I'm mixing on cans at the moment, so if that bass is really, really, really massively over the top, I do apologize, but it sounds pretty nice to me. So Right, okay, so we've got a nice little idea going. So I'm going to keep the drums in this one column here on the left. I just realized I just started dragging stuff over to the second column without explaining what I was doing. I'm going to try and keep the synths here and maybe diversify over to the right if I need an extra column, but I think 2 columns will do for now. So I'm going to add, I feel like some nice chord stabs would be nice. So I'm going to cheat a bit here and bring in, I'm just going to go into my trusty patches folder and go into by device Europa, and I know I've got some good stuff in here, so let's just have a play. That's nice, but a bit dark. Ooh, shareware. I feel like given. Ooh. Oh yeah, that'll do. Excellent. So, gonna roll off the lows a bit there. Maybe give it a bit of delay. So I'm gonna use the echo here. Put some ping pong on there. Right, I'm just going to draw in some notes. So, it's F2. Realize I had the effects turned on that Europa device, so I'm gonna use some different effects here. I'm gonna use the DR1 because of course I am, and just add a nice wash of reverb. So I'm just playing around with ideas at the moment. So if I go quiet for any extended period of time, it's generally because I'm just messing around with stuff. So if I do that, feel free to ask questions or anything in the chat. I'll try and explain what I'm doing afterwards. But generally speaking, if I get in the zone, I just kind of roll with it. So. So it's one thing I do want to introduce, and that would be kind of a nice sort of ARP kind of thing. And I was thinking of using something similar to the Thor patches I was showing off last week by Tom. But I thought it'd be kind of interesting to create one maybe from scratch. So yeah, let's do that. So I'm just going to create a Thor here. And I'm going to go with a wavetable oscillator set to sine harmonics because that seemed to work really nicely the last time I was messing around with this. I'm just going to set that position to 0, and I'm going to create a separate oscillator which is going to be FM pair, and I'm going to set the FM to 0. I'm going to route both of those through filter 1, set the frequency to about 12 o'clock, and yeah, let's just see how that goes. I'm going to use the shaper. That sounds pretty simple at the moment. Actually, let's try saturate. Okay, So let's go through that. Then I'm going to use a high pass filter here. Set the envelope and velocity to 0. And Disappointed Kun says, I am Thor. Yes, the best patch, the best of all patches. If you haven't checked it out, open up the I am Thor patch. Seriously, that blew my mind when I first heard it. I was like, how have they got the synth to talk? That's amazing. I did spend way too long at one point making it say your mum because I'm a child. And I thought that was hilarious at the time. So I'm going to use a similar trick that Tom used last week, which was to use filter 3, set the frequency to maximum, and just use the resonance to scoop out the mids. So that's a very simple patch, does the trick. So I'm going to want it to be like an ARP, so I'm going to turn the decay down. So this is quite simple at the moment. And yeah, let's see how it goes. So I'm going to show you how to create sequences using the Thor. So I'm going to assign MIDI key gate to step sequencer trigger. And of course I need to set a mode for this. So I'm going to set it to repeat. And I'm going to set the step direction to random. So if I press a key, it'll just fly all over the place. So I'm going to slow that down. I don't want the MIDI note to trigger it, so. But because I haven't actually programmed any notes at the moment, I'm just going to play the same C3 note over and over and over again. So what I'm going to do is remove half of those and program some manual notes in. So C3, C4, that seems reasonable. Actually, what I need to do is also assign MIDI note to step sequencer transpose. So okay, so I've turned off half the notes, but I haven't actually reduced the step, so there we go. So now, based on whatever key I press, it should transpose the step sequencer pattern based on what I'm playing, which is exactly what I want. So I've got C3, C4, just thinking of what I've already programmed so far, so I'm just going to have a look at the bass section again. F, C sharp, D sharp, right, okay. Let's get rid of that. Let's have D sharp 3 and F3 and G3, why not? And G sharp 3, why not? A sharp 3, and let's hear that. Oh, whoops. Gonna adjust that note. Oh no. I might increase the range. Right, there we go. So now we've got this kind of sort of random ARP thing going on. I'm gonna introduce a bit of chorus just to give it a bit of stereo width. Nothing too major, so I'm going to turn the frequency down a bit. Now I'm also going to steal another trick from Tom from last week, which is to use the mod envelope as a shaper drive source, so we get a nice little pop at the start of each note. So I should probably check this actually fits in the context of the mix at some point, but well, I'll do that in a bit. I'm also going to use LFO1 as a modulation source for oscillator 1 position. Just introduce a bit of variation. I was going to use that to Just realised filter 2 isn't actually routed to anything, so there we go. Bit of a brain fart there. Right. That's a bit much on the drive. I'm going to assign LFO2 to oscillator 2 pitch. Just give it a bit of drift. And I'm going to create a echo here. And introduce some diffusion so it kind of smears it a bit. So it's quite quiet at the moment, so I'm gonna bump up the drive. Well, this might sound like garbage when I put it in the actual track, so let's give it a go first, and then see if it's worth working with. Okay, I think that's workable. One thing I'm quite keen to do with this track is to let each part flow quite naturally and just kind of leave it going. My main problem when it comes to writing drum and bass is that I tend to want to change things too quickly, and that's kind of counter to what makes sort of good flowing drum and bass work. So I'm just going to kind of let things flow naturally and just sort of introduce little fills here and there. But we'll see. Something I really want to add is like some really nice gritty filtered sort of stabs. So what I'm thinking of doing here is introducing something with a really VK2, it's right there. Something with a really nice sort of filter sound. So I'm going to set oscillator 1 to rectangular because I'm a sucker for that. Actually, that's a bit loud. Turn that down a little bit. And bring the filter frequency down a bit. Now I'm going to set the what I'm going to do here. I'm going to play around with the filter and see what pops out. Right. Okay. So. For a start, I'm going to want that to be 4 voice because I want several voices. Okay, right. It's a little bit of resonance. Ooh, that's nice. Bit much though. Let's crank that up. I think I might just have a second oscillator and just have that similar, just up an octave, so. No, that's wrong. I think that could be a really nice sweep if I do it properly. So what I'm going to do is, speaking of sweep, I might introduce a sweeper. Turn the spread up. Ooh. And turn the frequency up a little bit. Alright, and now I might turn the high pass filter on that because it's don't want it competing for space. So I'm just gonna put some stabs in. That's actually a little high, so what I might do is just bring that down an octave and have that up an octave, and maybe bring some, let's keep it simple. Okay, that's hardly setting the world on fire at the moment, but we'll see how that works once I start processing it. So I think it'd be kind of cool to bring in a pulverizer just to smush it up and dirty it up a bit. So I'm going to crank up the dirt, give it a bit of a squeeze. Oh, that's way too much. Let's have a bit of echo as well, and by a bit I mean a lot. Just going to crank up the feedback there. Okay, I think we're onto something here. I just need to fashion it into something a bit more usable. If I introduce some filter sweeps. So I've got that tied to the velocity, but I'm not actually using the velocity, so what I should do is use it. Too long, so if I halve the length of that automation curve. That's sounding kind of nice. I might adjust that a bit. I think what I need is a reverb send, because I don't want to affect the delay, but I do want some reverb on top of it. So I am going to use a reverb send, and I'm going to use Old Faithful DR1. Just turn the time up, turn the low cut up, and let's see how that sounds. really open up a bit more. Entirely sure that second oscillator is doing a lot besides muddying up the sound. Yeah, I think a bit more drive would spice it up a bit, I think. Which maybe not. I think it just needs an extra note. Alright. Yes, that'll do. Clubmat says that stab with the filter sweep and drive sounds almost access virusy. Ah, it does actually. Yeah, and I do love my access virus. Shouldn't have changed that. I liked it how it was. Right. That's an interesting start. So I think there's too much going on with the Thor up as well. So if I just mute that. I'd left the feedback turn up way too high on that echo unit, but that's given me an idea. I feel like that sounded really cool, and I do want to increase that as the track goes on. In fact, I might use something else later on, but we'll see. Do I dare adjust the algorithm on the VK2, or is it going to kill my CPU? I'm just going to bump it up to normal. That's alright. That's cool. There's quite a bit to play around with here as well, so I feel like once I start messing around with getting a tune going, that'll be good. So I've got 22 seconds. Cool. Right, I'm going to introduce like a key part. So I feel like I always cheat when it comes to keys, so I'm just going to create a Europa from scratch and great. So yes, something I like doing with the Europa is taking really, really simple sounds and then processing them massively using the spectral filter and harmonics section. So I'm going to do the same here, and I'm going to create something using the Carplus Strong. wavetable type, which is kind of interesting, and just mess with it. So let's have a comb filter. Oof, no. I need to... Actually, if it's going to be a key, I'm going to... Okay, that's a start. So if I turn unison on, turn the count to 2, and turn detune up and spread up. It's a nice start. And it's quite a simple sound, so I'm going to process it a bit further using the harmonics. And I'm just going to stick with random gain. It's kind of a nice sort of belly type sound. I reckon I could do something with that. Let's have a look. So that goes into filter 1 there, envelope 2. So that's preset 1 and so it's quite quiet at the moment, so I'm just going to crank that up. I think that'll work as a bass, like a bass sound, actually. Ooh. That'll do. I don't want to overcomplicate this, so I'm just going to leave that. And I mean, it's quite quiet, so I'm just going to crank up the gain on the input. Cool. And what I'm going to do is just add some reverb, because of course. That's quite a lot of reverb. Is it too much? Nah, there's no such thing. Right. Alright, so that's an idea. Right. What I might do is layer that up with something else, but I'll do that in a second once I try recording. So... Cool, that's a neat little thing. Right. I'm just going to quantize that because I am lazy. Right. I think at the moment that decay is way too quick, so I'm just going to slow that envelope down. Cool, that's a good start. Right. I think it just needs some delay. Everything needs delay. Everything must be delayed. Right. Okay. going to combine that because I feel like it needs something else, and that something else may very well be some keys. So I'm probably going to use radical keys just to kind of bulk it out a bit, basically. So I'm going to create an instance of radical keys. Where are you, radical keys? Am I blind? There we go. Yeah, right. So I'm going to set that to whirly room. I'm going to crank up the compressor because that's how I roll. And turn the character down a bit and just let's give it a go. The release needs to go up for a start. Right. Clodmut says, that patch is lovely. Thank you. I quite like how it turned out. Yeah, I'm just going to leave that alone. I quite like how that's... Okay, I feel like I've got this block going. I should probably build a track around this. I feel like there's enough here to work with now. So yeah, I realise I've been quite quiet while working on this. So if there's anything you want to ask me while I'm working on this, if you're watching this on Twitch, please feel free to ask me anything via the chat and I will address it if there's anything you'd like me to go more into. So yeah, right, I am just gonna get back into it really. Right, let's go into song view. I feel like I need to ground myself with song view. Save it and self-contain what's here and save it again. Right, so let's have a little block. And by a little block I mean a big block. I'm thinking of opening with that little keys melodic thing. Just muting some other stuff, and maybe let's see how it goes. So I'm going to filter, I think I'm going to filter that loop in for at least another block, and then towards the end I'm going to bring the rides in. So if I just go to DMB loop, I'm going to totally cheat here and use an instance of the RX 950, which is a great little filter thing. And I really like it for just kind of nice simple filter sweeps. So Cool, that seems like a nice place to bring in the bass, so I'll just see how that goes. I want more delay. There we go. Yeah, I should bring in the chords a little sooner, I think. Yeah, I want those to come in a little sooner, but I feel like that would really benefit from just... I was wrong. That was a mistake. Right. Yeah, I'm just going to use the low pass filter on the SSL. That seems like a good idea. I'm not going to lie to you, this has given me some proper mid-noughties vibes. I can't really explain why. Let's have a little break there. What I need to do is just automate that filter sweep, because it just sounds a bit weird if I'm using the SSL and nothing else. Let's have a little fill from here. That'll do. Nice. And I might have a little transitional element there. So I'm going to use the same trick I used last week, which was to delve into my custom samples folder, get some Foley, just get the sound of a bin closing, and use that as a source for a transition. So it sounds ridiculous, so I'm just going to take that and pop it over here, reverse it. So right now it's going to sound super underwhelming. That's rubbish. So there we go, just move that into position so transient meets where I want it to be. And I'm just going to stretch that basically. So I've got a nice long, actually, yeah, that'll do. It's got a nice long stretch transitional element, and I want that that sort of transient there to meet where the pattern ends. So that'll do. So I'm just going to fade. Oh, I'm just going to fade that in. Have that fade out there, and swamp it in reverb. So I'm going to use Old Faithful DR1 here, and turn the time up there. Set insert pre on the SSL mixer, and just crank up the high pass filter and turn it down. So it will sound like this. And I definitely want that to be a bit longer. So what I'm going to do is, because the bulk of that sound material is at the end of that section, I'm just going to go, say here, that's where it is. So I'm just going to stretch that section there. Maybe not that much. And put that back into position. Have that fade in. I keep missing those anchor points. Oh, right, there we go. Right. I'm gonna bring in the bass after that point. So I'm gonna mute that Thor. I'm gonna mute the stabs. I'm gonna mute everything but the drums and the bass, and hopefully it will sound pretty neat. So I want to keep it simple there. Right. Someone said, please don't ruin it with the MC Conrad lyrics like Mr. Buchan does. I will try my best. I think if I'm going to add anything vocal related, it will definitely be kind of more atmospheric washes. So, yeah, Fiery Biscuit says blasphemy. I'm staying out of this one. All right, you know, just. Ooh. I feel like I want something kind of atmospheric in the intro, so I am going to go against what I said earlier, and I'm going to bring in some Nostromo, and I'm just going to dip into my random patches folder that I haven't added to since last week, and just use, what's Twisted Signal? Is that what I used last week? I think that could work if I disguise it so it doesn't sound like a really dark patch. So I'm just going to turn it down. I'm cranking up the high pass filter, and I'm going to stick some reverb on it, smush it completely. think I just need to automate the filter on those chords just to kind of dampen them a bit there. So just bring them down just a touch. I feel like I need another kind of breakbeat coming in just to kind of pad out what I've got there. So I'm going to head back into the factory sounds folder, go into the Dr. Rex drum loops and see what's here, because I do have a soft spot for these loops. That could be fun to work with. So if I drag it into the rack, it creates an instance of Dr. Octo Rex. If you drag it directly into the sequencer, it just drags the audio in, which is what I did earlier, and I didn't really explain that. So I'm just going to listen to what that sounds like. So I am going to drag that in as... Actually, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to copy that to the track and I'm just going to chop it up into chunks. So if I say half bar chunks, actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to quantize it before I do that so that I can chop it into chunks where everything is in the right place. So I'm going to lose a little bit of the looseness, but it'll make it easier to work with. That's exactly the kind of thing I want, so I'm just going to ditch that. Right, so this is kind of what I meant earlier when I said sort of just working with chunks of loops as opposed to messing around with slices, because I like the loops as they are. I just want to mess around with kind of bits of them. And that's easier to do when you're working with audio, whereas with Rex loops, you're kind of tempted to kind of dive in and start messing around with individual slices and kind of messing around with it like that. Whereas what I've done here is just chopped it up into just bits really, and moved them around. We kind of got a sort of bit of a jungly flavour, I think. Although the track isn't very jungly, so never mind. Actually, I might swap those two around. Yeah, I quite like that. It's always fun to use these old loops and see what pops out. I mean, I don't think I've really properly dived into the factory sound bank in quite a long time, so it's nice to dip back in here, and it does have kind of a nice nostalgic feeling for me, especially with the old Rex loops section. So I'm just going to squash it a little bit with Pulverizer. Actually, no, right, okay, if we're going to go properly old school with this and go back to Reason 1, let's bring in the big guns. Let's bring in Comp 1. All right, this is probably going to sound awful, but I kind of just want to do it. Right, okay. I can't remember the last time I used the Compo one. Right, okay, cool. And I'm just going to automate the filter here and have that sort of fade in. right. It's not actually. Actually, I'm just gonna pop that section, that loop, into the block, so I'm not having to mess around with copying and pasting stuff, because that is a bit of a mess. I could join them up, but I don't want to. So I'm just gonna mute those, and there we go. They're ready to go. Sort of don't want those pitch bends on that section there, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make a copy of that, and I can't remember. Here we go. So performance pitch bend, that's the one. Oh, that's annoying. You know what, screw it. I'm just going to get rid of that. No, I'm not. Just annoyed that that's tied to that clip there. Right. Cool. Cliff04. Evening, Adam. Sounding good. Already hearing a nice female voice wailing over the top in a yeah styly. Well, I can't offer a female voice, but I can offer myself doing my best female impression, which could sound awful, but we'll find out when I try to do it. Which I feel like it's only a matter of time at this point before I do that. So I feel like if Ryan is doing it in the Reason Studios videos, I need to just suck it up and give it a go myself, especially, you know, well, yeah, I'll just go for it. Right. Okay. So. Oh, I quite like that loose bend. Right. Oh yeah, that's good. Right. Right. I'm just going to cheat. Do that. Right, so what I'm going to do once I've done this, I'm going to get rid of that and go back to song and mute the pitch bend for the first chunk here. It's time to grab another fill from here and pop that over there. Cool, that's nice. I'm not a fan of that texture. That's that's better. Electronic DJ says Humana would sound nice on it. Maybe. I'll try. I'm going to try something first, maybe in the next section, and then see where it goes. That's a nifty little fill there. Right. So, bring that over. I'm really glad I held on to those earlier on. Right, the time has come. I am going to try recording some little vocals over the top. So, if you're faint of heart or you don't want to see my face looking weird, then please turn away. Buskin Bill says, anyone else getting strange screen focus issues? Easy for me to say. Please let me know. Giles says, here for Adam's sexy female impersonation. How about you? Oh no, now I've got so much hype to live up to. Right, okay. Let's make sure. Oh, there we go. That is actually working. Right. Damn, I was really hoping that wasn't going to work, so I couldn't do it. Right, so I'm just going to roll off the highs and just whack it through a bunch of reverb and hope for the best. So, right, I'm going to turn off my stream mic monitoring doofer and I'm just going to record and see what happens. Okay, so I'm just going to leave that looped and here we go. Okay, now what I'm going to do... Cliff04 says, you look very nervous. I am a bit nervous. So, right. I'm just gonna pitch correct that because it's all over the place. And do better than that. Right, okay, let's give this another go. Okay. Clovermat says, genuinely curious to hear something like that format shifted and transposed, or the reverb on it. It would be super interesting to see if it sounds natural. I was kind of thinking that myself, so I'm gonna whack a Neptune on here. Put that before here, the old shift drag trick. And use the format shifter on here to disable pitch adjust and transpose, because I don't want those. Although I'm not sure if format shifting works with that. Let's have a listen. I'm sure I went up to C sharp before. No, it didn't. That sounds awful. It turns out I was just singing massively out of tune. Excellent. Well, that sounds like a baby crying. So it's a work in progress. Right. So just right, okay, it's just right. That hasn't corrected the pitch at all, right? Let's listen to it in context. I think Clobbermutt's onto something here, so I'm going to try doing it in a lower register. Let's see what happens.
Disable that. Hello. That's quite funny. Okie doke.
I think maybe something more enthusiastic might work, but let's find out. Let's bump that up. I reckon we can do something with this. Right. This seemed like a weird idea, but... I just need to not sing all over the place. Right. Okay. Let's do it. Let's do it again. Right. If I turn this off and turn this off and leave that on and turn this off. Right. Okay, let's give this a go. I'm gonna go here and correct the pitch, because I suck. And I'm just gonna try this. Okay, so those... It's good if it's sustained, but it kind of falls apart when it's not. This has been quite an interesting exercise. Right, I'm going to cheat here and stick an RE2A here with the vocal preset assigned to it, just because it's a quick and dirty compressor that... I'm not gonna lie, I'm actually really happy with how that's turned out. I can't believe that worked. Okay. Actually, I'm gonna put that after that, right? Cliffo says, who got the choir boys in? Well, I mean... needs more delay. That's what I think. Right. Actually, yeah, I do want to bring in those pitch bends on the bass. Cliffo says, I like to hear it as stab muting through a gate. That's an interesting idea. I do want to bring that Thor back in. Maybe in the next section. Yeah, that's a good idea. Might have those stabs a little less pronounced in this section. You know what I'm going to do? I'm definitely going to layer up those vocals with some more vocals. That's absolutely happening. Right. So I'm just going to edit this so I can shift them around a bit more easily. So there we go. All right. And oh, Cliffo says, when did you save it last? Right now. Thank you for reminding me. Thankfully, this has never been an issue before during a stream. Reason has never crashed on me during a stream, or it's super reliable. It's great. So I'm gonna have that loop fade in. So I'm going to use low pass filter here. This old chestnut. Have that come in. I'm going to have this Thor come in a bit as well. Yeah, I think those vocals do need more delay. So let's crank it up a bit. Crank up the drive. turn the filter up so it's just, I just want it to be a big wash. Okay. That's a nice little fill, right. Right, I'm going to get rid of those little vocal bits, and against my better judgment, I'm going to duplicate this track and try recording some more. In fact, just for a giggle, I do want to try listening to these without any effects, or, well, not, just no transposition or format shifting or anything, so oh, that's right, that's still turned on. Although that sounds kind of cool as well. Well, that's given me an idea for the next section. Right, okay, so if I just transpose that up an octave again. Wow, I'm totally cheating here. Right, that. I feel like that's way too lazy. I'm gonna do that properly, but I liked where I was going. Hello. Right, let's try that. Ooh. Buskin Bill says, Adam, you have some mad skills that really sell Reason's workflow. Thank you, Buskin Bills. That's very kind of you to say. Yeah, I just love working with Reason, especially with blocks. There's something about blocks with getting ideas down quickly. Really appeals to me. It's that kind of mixture of old tracker sort of sensibilities with a modern workflow, and I just find the two combined really satisfyingly. It's great. I love it. Matoid Music says, holy shit, this is awesome. Are those Omnisphere patches? No, there's no Omnisphere going on in here. This is all Reason and rack extensions and stuff. There are no VSTs here. And I haven't cheated this time and used a reactor ensemble to add glitchy percussive effects. I hope people are taking note, because I had a couple of people say that I was totally cheating by just doing that before. So no glitchy percussion this time. But yeah, I'm really tempted to just bring that in now. But Clovmutt says, you've been using Reason for nearly 20 years, right? You must know it inside out. Yeah, I have. I think at least like 18 years now. So, oof, yeah, that's a weird thought. Oof. My Toy Music says, so these are just all effects. Yep. Yes. Is there anything in particular you'd like me to cover? I'd be happy to look into it. In fact, I'm just going to label these vocal channels. So I'm actually kind of happy with how those vocals turned out. Yeah, with the vocal going through, that was just me recording my own voice. So just to highlight what's going on here, I am going to bypass both of those vocal chains and... yeah, they sound garbage without effects, so let's not do that again. In fact, what I might do is, given that I'm using a Thor for that little step sequence thing, I might take advantage of this and actually open up the filter a bit during this section. So... well, the filter envelope, so if I just crank that up a little. I know exactly what I'm going to do for the next section. I can hear it in my head already, so that's going to happen. I'm going to have a little melodic change and add some extra cymbals on top. And then finish. Yeah. I'm just going to listen to what I've done so far, so I can think about what I've done. Matoy Music says, what VSTs are you using? Here, none. I'm not using any VSTs here. This is all rack extensions and native devices. So this is the rack so far. Don't like how that factory soundbang loop comes in. I think what I'm going to do is just drop that for a bit and have it fade in again. now is the time to vary things up. So I'm going to create a second block. Oh my god. Right, so thankfully, because there's not a lot going on in terms of actual chords. In fact, I don't think I've written a single proper chord here. I've just been using a baked in chord in Europa. So I'm just going to get the bass done first. So I feel like that's a very me kind of progression there, so I'm gonna go with that. I like it. So that's yep. So if I just So I'm thinking of adding like some nice string washers over that. I'm going to open that bass filter up a bit on the Poly 6 over the course of this section, just to kind of give it a bit of drive, and that'll be cool. Matoid Music's been asking about rack extensions and how that works. So I am going to, well, Cliffo has suggested that I press the tab key and show what happens in Reason. So Matoid's been asking about VSTs and rack extensions, and in the chat people have been essentially explaining what rack extensions are. If you don't know what rack extensions are and you're watching on YouTube, check it out because they're awesome. They're basically instruments and effects that are native to the Reason rack interface. So in Reason, the cool thing is you can press tab and you can see everything that's going on behind the synths. Now I haven't actually used a lot of CV routing in this project, which in fact I don't think I've used any, which is really surprising. So CV routing is a really, really easy way of introducing movement and modulation, and in fact now that I think about it, I might introduce some in a bit. I don't want to get too distracted because I like where this is going so far. But yeah, so you can route anything to anything else. It's a nice sort of semi-modular environment that you can just, it's awesome. This is why I like using Reason. And the first time I used Reason, I was using the demo in like 2002 of Reason 1, which had a 30-minute time limit. I just pressed tab when I was using it, and my mind was blown, and I knew that I had to get this, because up until that point I'd been using trackers, and that was entirely sample based, and I didn't really know how synths worked, and it was incredible to me. I didn't really know what I was looking at, but I knew I wanted to use it and be a part of that. And you know, coming up to 20 years later, I'm still using it, so they got that right. Wow. And yeah, it's great. I love it. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to change one of these vocal lanes in the next section. But I do want to add some cymbals, so, well, not cymbals, but some extra rides. That might be a bit much, but we'll see. Let's create a new note lane. Right, so ooh, what the hell's happened here? Wow, I got that wrong. Okie doke. Let's. Yeah, that needs to be sped up. So I'm just going to double the tempo. Actually, I think opening that filter up was a mistake. I'm not going to do that for a change. Right, I'm going to risk it. I'm going to create another vocal lane. And what am I doing? I should just be copying the existing tracks and using those as a base. So duplicate that, get rid of that, and that's off. So I'm just going to record and see what happens. Okay. That'll do. Oh, there's a bass. Right. Save. Thank you, Buskin' Bills. Right. Cool. I think there's a bit too much delay going on with the vocals now, so I might take it off that channel. I think those extra, I think that's a little too much, so I might just bring that right down. So what I did just there was I turned the high cut down on these reverb units on the vocals because there was a bit, I feel like there was a bit too much high-end presence in the reverb on the vocals, so I thought I'd bring that back a bit just to kind of give it a more neutral sound. But again, I am working on headphones, so this mix is not going to be amazing as it is, but yeah, I feel like I'm doing the best I can with cans on, so yeah. Right, I think I'm going to add like an extra kind of washy element at the end, like a sort of descending synth or like some strings or something. Well, we'll find out. Let's see what happens. And then after that, I think I'm going to finish off the track. Realised I haven't actually used that little melody that I brought in the intro for a long time. But I'm gonna bring that in the outro. I think that'll be a nice way to bookend the track. So. I feel like I want to bring in something. It's like, I think. I'm thinking of bringing in something here, like... Right, okay. Let's have something really simple. I want to basically use the factory sound bank. Let's use the subtractor. Let's use this as a base for something weird. So... Okay, cool. So I'm going to stick that through a synchronous. There is method in my madness, supposedly. So, just have that like that. Let's keep it simple, right? I should just have some noise on that as well. Not sold on this idea, but let's grab the old bass lane and pop that on the subtractor lane. Okay, so if I disable the envelope on the filter, that's already disabled. Oh, what am I doing? Right. That'll do. Oof, no. There's been some discussion over what to name this track, so I am open to suggestions. Clovermutt suggested Inertia, which I actually kind of like the sound of that. But then they've gone on to say, what am I thinking of? Like literally the opposite of Inertia. I don't know. Momentum? Possibly? Although that does sound like the name of a team from The Apprentice, which... not big into that. But I like that general idea. Oh, propulsion, that's an idea. Ooh, I like that. That'll make a nice change from the virus-related names I've been using for the past couple of weeks as well. Ooh, Kinesis, that's a great name. Kinesis, propulsion, these are great names. Sorry, that's incredibly non-committal of me. These are both great names. I'm just not committing to anything yet. Maybe it's a bit much. That's neat. Right. Right, I'm going to introduce some CV routing. So, I am going to turn down the rate on LFO1 on this subtractor, right down. I'm going to break out the CV output on the LFO and bring it into the panning input on that channel. So it should pan from left to right. Can the rapid noise phase? Cliffos asks. Yes, that's a really good idea, and I'm going to do that in a second. Thank you. So now you can hear it panning around. If you Google kinetic and propulsion, you get nano-electrokinetic thruster, which sounds cool. How about electrokinetic? Ooh, that does sound cool. I'm liking Kinesis. Buskin Bills says, Adam, do you use Ammo1 for CV modulation? I don't, actually. I've never tried it, to be honest. I recall someone saying something about a CV device that was made a while ago as a rack extension on Reason Talk, and asked if I'd used it, and said, I can't believe you haven't used this. It's like it was custom built for you. And I still haven't used it because I'm just a rubbish human being. So, yeah, to be honest, I tend to be able to get what I want to do with Reason out of the stock devices when it comes to CV stuff. The only exception there is Distributor by Blamsoft, which I use for creating polyphonic patches out of monosynths, which is great. So that's what I used last week with that patch provided by Tom Pritchard, which was several complex devices which were being controlled by one distributor, and Complex 1 is a monophonic device. So I wanted to use it as a poly patch, so it was splitting the CVs across those. It's really, really good, really great device. So I'm just going to add a phaser to this, and I'm going to stop messing around with it because I've spent way too much time on this thing as it is, on this particular thing. So I'm just going to use the sweeper modulation effect again. Set that to phaser. There we go. So it adds a bit of stereo spread and a bit of phasing. Right, I feel like I want some kind of stringy thing. So, just like a big, given that I'm going for kind of a sort of noughties vibe, I'm gonna do something crazy. I'm gonna go into the orchestra library and grab a solo violin, or grab some. Let's have a look. Clodmat says, Orchestra, what is this, 2002? Well, I mean, I'm leaning into the vibe, so I mean, we've got a subtractor going on here. It'd just be wrong not to have. Not to have some strings. So, I'm totally going to wash the crap out of these. So, old meets new. Actually, yeah, I don't think those cellos are working. So, I really wanted, like, solo. Something, yeah, solo. Solo cello. No, solo violin. That'll do. Sold on that. Yeah, I think that's gonna go in the bin. Sorry, orchestra. Do want something else there though. Oh, now I'm starting to think maybe the orchestra was the way to go, and I've just put it in the bin. Do I regret my choice? Nah, let's bring it back. All right. Yeah. Let's just do it. Need to adjust the attack and release, right? Clubman says proper mid-noughties energy. Love it. Excellent. That's what I'm going for. The orchestra stays. Deal with it. So. little fill there. Let's grab a little chunk here. Also, this is an excellent technique that I haven't actually used myself before, just grabbing bits from beatmap renders. So nah, that didn't work. That was not such a good idea. Yeah, alright. That's a good place to end it, I think. Right, so I'm just going to keep that bass note steady for the end. Right, so I'm going to have that little melody sort of fade in at the end. So I'm going to use the low pass filter on the keys. Have that sort of fade in just to the end and then bookend the track with that. Internet Race Car has said this track also has big midnight insta-jib energy and I'm super into it. Oh, that has totally made my day. Thank you so much. Yes, big midnight insta-jib energy. I need to check out those names that we had again. I'm probably leaning towards Kinesis. I really like that as a track title. So Internet Race Car, you have won today. I feel I'm gonna call it Kinesis. Let's go with it. You've won with big midnight insta-jib energy and Kinesis. So you win today's stream. Awesome. I'm going to filter out the rapid noise at the end. I might come back to that block 2 section in a bit because I think I could do with a little attention. I should have probably started filtering these things out a while ago. Where on earth? Alright, so for some reason that's miles away, yep. Sometimes Reason has this habit of kind of sticking mixer tracks associated with certain instruments miles and miles away from the actual instrument. So yeah, I'm not sure what the deal is with that, but my keys automation lane was miles away from the combinator, which is assigned to the keys. It's very strange. Yeah, that's what I wanted. And let's have one last little rush at the end. I think that's a good place to end it. Right, let's just check that ending. Cool. I am happy with that. Right, I'm going to save that and play it from start to finish and not talk or interrupt it or anything, just so I can make a note of any of what's going on. Mark Donaldson says, my favourite of this round of streams so far. Excellent. Here's hoping they just get better from here. I've had a ton of fun working on this, by the way. It's been a long time since I worked on a track quite like this, and to be honest, yeah, it's I think Clovermutt summed it up nicely when they said that it's got big mid-noughties energy, and the whole I'm really, 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 really thrilled that people are kind of getting that feel from it, because that's exactly what I feel like I'm channeling right now. So that is fantastic, and it's awesome. So I'm just going to play it and stop talking and make some notes as I go, see if there's anything I want to change. So here we go. yeah, I'm really happy with that. So the more eagle-eyed among you may have noticed me making some little bright pink blocks or notes as it was playing. So those were just little things. I'm just going to tweak a couple of things. So here I wanted that C# note to just yeah, I just wanted that to play for that sort of 4-bar measure there, just for a little bit of variation. And here I want the strings, just the low string, to play for a little bit. So the strings, it's less of a sudden change. So I'm just going to double check that sounds all right. Yeah, that works better. Cool. Right, I think I'm done with this track.